Isaac had two sons, Esau and Jacob. He loved Esau more than Jacob. The one he loved was foolish enough to sell the birthright. The other one was crazy enough to come and steal the blessing. Could this man have been happy? Then the two sons began to fight. And one vowed, he said, I will kill the other. What kind of life? It was in that condition that Isaac died. And then it made me to start looking at the life of Isaac. Isaac means laughter. So the prophecy over his life was that he was going to experience laughter. Was that his life would be filled with joy. But this was him dying at 140 years. And it occurred to me that the entire life of Isaac was filled with struggles. Filled with struggles. In Genesis chapter 21, Bible makes us to understand. I think it was verse 5 that says that Abraham was 100 years old when he gave birth to Isaac. 100 years old. So he struggled to be born. He struggled to be born. Verse 9, the first party they ever threw for him when they were going to win him. Bible said that Sarah saw Ishmael laughing at him. So even on his day of joy, they were poking fun at him. What kind of life is that? Genesis chapter 22, his own father was going to sacrifice him. And I mean, the life was just horrible. His own father was going to sacrifice him. Genesis chapter 24, he married a wife called Rebecca. And Bible says in the last verse of that chapter that his wife Rebecca reduced the sorrow of the loss of his mother. So he couldn't even enjoy his marriage. He was nursing pain. He was nursing sorrow. What kind of life is this? Genesis chapter 25 now, we read, I think, verse 5, where Bible was now talking about the fact that by the time his father was going to die, that was Abraham, Bible said he sent all of his other children away from him and gave him all of the inheritance. But it didn't take too long for us to realize that Ishmael was still around, because Bible said when Abraham died, it was Isaac and Ishmael that buried him. So they wouldn't even allow him to enjoy his blessing in peace. And when we read down again, Bible said that his wife was barren. His life was just filled with all sorts of unnecessary struggles. And then we now get to Genesis chapter 26, problem number 1, there was famine. What kind of life did this man live? He was now struggling in famine. Bible now said God opened the doors for him, things happened, and then he had a lot in the land. But before that one, in verse 7, Bible said they began to ask him questions about, they were even struggling for his own wife. What kind of life is this? They were struggling with it for the wife that he married. What kind of life is this? And then when we read down again, I think around verse 16, Bible said Abimelech came to him and said, you are too strong for us, leave. After he labored and got 100-fold harvest, they now told him to leave. His life didn't even match his prophecy. Then he began to dig wells. He dug the ones that they closed. In the days of his father, they struggled with him. He dug his own, they struggled. He named that one Esek. It means quarrel. He dug another one, they struggled. He named this Shitna. It means contention. So what kind of life is this? Then he now dug another one. And for the first and only time in the life of Isaac, there was no quarrel, there was no contention, there was no struggle, there was no pain. They left him alone. For the first and only time in his life, he lived out his prophecy. For the first and only time in his life, he was able to enjoy. No wonder Paul said, a great and effectual door is opened unto me, but there are many adversaries. Listen, open door is different from open space. You can have open door and not have open space. Rehoboth means open space. Open heaven is different from open space. It is clear that the heavens over Isaac were opened. His problem was that he didn't have space. And for the first time, he lived his prophecy. He experienced joy. He experienced laughter. He lived out his name. And he said, what name will I call this experience? He said this experience is called wide open space, Rehoboth. And I want to pray for somebody. You will experience wide open space. The reason why we have open heavens, we have open doors, but we seem not to enjoy them, is because the space is not open yet. And I believe God that through this experience, Rehoboth experience, God will bring us into our open spaces. In the name of Jesus. We have prayed for open doors. We have prayed for open heavens. This time around, it is the blessing of open spaces. It is time to live out our prophecy. It is time to experience the blessings of God. It is time to laugh without any contention. And that will be our experience in the name of Jesus Christ. God bless you. Thank you very much, Daddy.
Hey, do you feel it?